Ladies and gentlemen, we're live at the Republican Men's Club at the Atlantis in Reno, Nevada. We thank you for joining us. We have a good turnout, and we have some great speakers. The first speakers tonight are for a great cause. It's for the Veterans Memorial in Sparks, and we have at the entrance to the new Memorial Highway in Sparks. It's going to run down to South Reno. We have two gentlemen here, Ron Smith, Sparks City Councilman, and Chris Adair, that's running for the City Council in Sparks number 5. If you'd welcome them, they need to be up here.
Can you have that microphone? We're going to need 2 microphones. Perfect.
Okay, they're going to be on, they're going to stay here, and you can get information and literature from them. Good cause. I even need to.
Thank you for having us here tonight. And I want to tell you, I have no less than 10 people saying you got 10 minutes, and then we're going to cut you off. So we'll make this quick. First of all, I just want to say that a lot of times I get questions from people that live in Sparks, and they go, "Well, how's Sparks doing?" I even get questions from Reno, because Sparks is going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour, and Reno passes is doing 85. They get all the attention, and we're good with that. But I tell them that, if you're thinking about Sparks, you're in good hands. And I want to introduce again Charlene Bybee, stand-up councilwoman for Sparks. She's helped us on this project, and your help has been wonderful. And then, of course, we got Assemblyman Hanson. I don't know where he ran off to, but we're going to talk about this project that we started over a year ago. It's called the Nevada Veterans Memorial. The Nevada Veterans Memorial in Sparks is a statewide memorial. It's the only memorial that is statewide that honors all of our fallen brothers and sisters since we became a state. Everybody knows when we became a state? 1864. Did we fight in the Civil War? No, we did not. Although we dispatched soldiers, 1,200, maybe it was 1,500, to go to fight in the Civil War. They ended up protecting the Hope Trail, and we lost some soldiers in Indian skirmishes, but we did not fight in the Civil War. Anyway, this memorial started out, we have the bridge that we just built across the Traci. It's called the Veterans Memorial Bridge in Sparks, and it connects to the Southeast Connector, which, of course, was envisioned in 1954 and approved in 1964. So government does not work. Well, it works pretty fast, but not in this case. As soon as it's built and opened in December 17th, it'll be called Veterans Parkway. Again, the bridge is the Veterans Bridge in Sparks. And this is the Nevada Veterans Memorial Plaza. It's on the corner of Gregg and the Veterans Memorial Bridge. This started off as having flags going across the bridge, and the Blue Star Mothers was going to maintain it. Replace the flags, and we thought, boy, that's not what we need to do for a statewide memorial. Besides that, we'd be replacing flags every 60 days because of the winds in Nevada. So it morphed into a memorial. Now, it's on the left-hand side of the bridge if you're heading south. Should have been on the other side, except if you're familiar with Sparks, we have a sewage plant right there. And every day when the winds come around, and that's where the smell is. And we thought, well, we do not want to have a ceremony where people during the reflection time smelling that and not thinking about anything but that. So we moved it to the other side. The land was donated by the RTC. It's unusable land. And this design was by CH2M Hill. Now, the memorial, and Chris has got a PowerPoint. If you want to take over, Chris. And
Sure. We just want to make sure you guys can see. One is a lot of people ask us exactly where it's at. So if you come down Sparks to Gregg to the Nevada Veterans Memorial Bridge, you can go there now, and there is a sign sitting there that says future site of. So that is exactly where it's going to be. And then if you see on the bridge, there's a very wide portion walk on, and we're going to talk about that as well. So on the bridge, it also is a part of the memorial and some of what's going on. This next portion is the artist rendering. And so we're going to go through a few different portions of it so you can kind of understand it. But we hope you understand this is not just putting up a wall and a flag. And this is something bigger than that. This is something where you actually get to go to. You can actually go and really take a moment and honor those who have given their life like these people have. Want to go through some of those?
Sure. This memorial uses the number 36 quite a bit. We were the 36th state in the Union. We're the 7th largest state by area in the United States. The entry, you see the path there, and it doesn't show it, but on either side of the path, we're going to have you've all seen it, the boots, the rifles, and the helmet on top. We want people to realize that this is a solemn place when they enter it. And I tell you right now, if I had known I'd come out crying like a baby when I went to the Vietnam Wall in Washington, if we can achieve half of that, then we've done our job. And this is not about Sparks. It's about the state of Nevada. As you enter, you'll see those little bursts you see are trees. There's 17 trees being planted that represent 16 counties in the state of Nevada and the capital, Carson City. Each county will represent one of those trees. In the middle, you see the benches. Those are benches that represent every branch of the military. The bricks, we have 10,000 bricks in this memorial. We are selling bricks, by the way. There's a $100 brick. There's a $250 brick. There's a $500 brick, which is actually granite. And then there's a $1,000 corporate brick, which is granite. And if you can look just where the arrow is, the band that goes around, that'll be where those granite bricks will be. They're not really bricks. But if we sold all of those bricks, we'd raise $1 million for this project. The project in total is about $1.6 million. And right now we have about $60,000 in the bank. Woo! And we've been working hard to get that. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have a lot more. Chris?
So when it comes down to this, there's a few purposes in it. I mean, and obviously people get the idea of a Veterans Memorial. A lot of you, how many of you guys have visited a place of a Nevada, a Veterans Memorial somewhere? Anybody? So yes. Amen. It's amazing. When you walk on, you get the idea that you remember the sacrifice. You remember what was given. And I can tell you, for us, for our students, for our lives, we can never forget. And that's what this is really about, is making sure that we walk forward and not forget. And even the memorial wall here, they'll have each of the names on there. Now, our dinners are during the Gold Star weekend on purpose, because this is when in the future we want to make sure we honor the Gold Star families then as well. So even when this is built 20 years from now, and Lord forbid somebody else's name needs to go on there, every year we'll have a ceremony where either we'll just thank those who gave their life or add a name if needed. And so it's something for our state that's ongoing. It's something that matters. It's something that has this true value. So it's pretty exciting. And this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is the state monument that he spoke of.
This monument is made of granite. It is set at 18 degrees to each other, which represents the 36th state in the Union. It is also 7 inches apart. This is one of the nuances, because we were the 7th largest state in the Union. The bricks are laid at a 36-degree angle. The memorial is 108 feet wide, 3 times 36. So the architects, which was CH2M Hill, put in all kinds of things for us to reflect on. I want to talk about the 838 names real quick. In 1864, this state had less than 400,000 people living here. 398,000 of them were Republicans, by the way, if you didn't know that. But we had less than 400,000 people here. So what a sacrifice this state has made to this country so we can all remain free and do what we do. Don't you think that's amazing? 838 names right now. Thank you. And we hope that every year when we have our ceremony that we don't have any names to add to it. Chris, why don't you talk about the education portion?
So this gets me excited. One of the things I get to do in life is help run and work with students, run a Christian school. And when we sit back and we think of education, this actually adds something to this memorial that a lot of memorials don't have. So on this bridge, it's going to go all the way up and all the way back. And you get every battle, every altercation, everything we've been through in our nation will be listed on this bridge. And so imagine us coming with a group of students who a lot of them have no idea at all the sacrifice, but they walk through and they get to see what happened in Vietnam. They get to read about it. They get to see about this Navy ship that went, or this battle that happened, and they get to walk the whole thing. And then in the very end, they get to walk on the hallowed ground that we talk about. I can just tell you personally, if we don't teach the next generation what is coming, they'll forget. If we don't take the time and we share it, and we don't put time in, I can tell you, you and I's lives, we don't know what's going to happen always in the future. But when we build something like this, we know it's something that stays. We know it's something that will be there permanent, whether you or I are there to share it or not. And so it's crucial. This educational piece gets me very excited, and it's worth the whole thing. And it actually is great because it leads right on to that hallowed ground where it represents the people who gave their life.
This is a place of ceremony and reflection, and I know our time's up. We'll end this. If you want to go to our website, it's www. I'm old-fashioned. NevadaVeteransMemorial.org. You can read all about us. You can come and see us. We have an office. By the way, this community has a giving heart. Everybody here knows that. We have been given an office at the Legends at Sparks Marina, donated to us, and we're sharing it with 39 North, who right now we're under their 501c3. But we had an open house the other night, but this community is just wonderful. I love living here, and I'll say I love being a Republican. So let's
now
go.
before you're done. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm right there. Before you're done, I need to talk about the dinner. So our big. No, you can't cut me off yet. I got a microphone. I'm a pastor. You aren't cutting me off. Okay. Anyway. So this dinner that's coming, we did one and it went great. And again, a lot of people were involved with that, but we have one coming up on the 22nd. It's going to be at Silver Legacy, September 22nd at the Silver Legacy. And it's for everybody. Last year we had 400 people come. This year we're hoping for 600 plus. And we hope that you all come. Some of you didn't know about it yet. Please come. It's a wonderful event. We do all kinds of things where Charlene helped greatly. And if you're interested, we do a silent auction. So if you have items that you want to help, give them to Charlene. She helps put that whole area together, did a fantastic job. We have a whole dinner crew who puts this together. If you want to help with that, jump on board. But the key to it is come. Come and be a part of it. Get your brick. But we're going to have a dinner here on the 22nd, and we're working on having a dinner in Vegas on the 23rd. And so, because the reason we want to dinner in Vegas is because this is a statewide memorial. We want to include the whole state to the best of our ability. Ron and I will be going there in February to go meet with different city leaders and different people. If you know anybody you think we should meet with, anybody in the military or whatever, you say, if you're going down there, you need to talk to these people, please talk to us afterwards. We'd love to know that. But please be a part of that dinner. Thank you.
Thank you, you guys. They did a great job. This is fantastic what they've done. And even I think if the board agrees, the men's club will give some money to this cause. I guess I said something, yeah. I'm in trouble if we don't. It's a good cause. They're going to be around. Talk to them after the meeting. And now, with great pleasure, I'll introduce our current Washoe County Superintendent of Schools, Tracy Davis, as you would please welcome her.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. Ray's interesting. I met him at a chamber meeting, and he was not going to leave that meeting till I committed to come speak. And I had a little problem, and I couldn't speak when I was supposed to speak, and I could hear him and my secretary going back and forth, and clearly I'm here. He found a way because he has a wheel. And Ray, thank you for everything. You've been great. Okay, I'm a teacher at heart, so I'm going to set my stopwatch because I'm not supposed to talk the whole time to allow you some questions. So I'll just kind of start with who I am and how I arrived in Reno. I am actually a Nevadan, born and raised in Las Vegas. Please don't boo. Think Silver State right now. I started in the classroom and I had a great experience teaching and decided to go into administration. And when I did so, I had an opportunity to work at a variety of schools, Title I schools, middle class schools, affluent schools. And then I was approached to take over a school that was truly at risk in Clark. And as I sit here, he left. We had a discussion because he grew up around the corner from the school that I was a principal at. But doing that work, I had this philosophy that achievement is not a place. Doesn't matter where kids go to school at, where the brick and mortar building is. We have to have a high expectation for every kid when they step through the door. And in doing that work at Snyder, we started off at the bottom 20% of being proficient, and we were high ELL, high free and reduced lunch. You know the story. And we turned it around and we became high achieving. As a result of that work over 5 years, in 2011, I was actually selected for elementary principal of the year for the state of Nevada. And that was not really about me, really was about the teachers and the staff and the parents, because we know that principals don't really do that kind of work, right? We monitor the work, but I can tell you people cared about kids. We set the vision for what's important to us. And I believe that work led me to Reno. So let me tell you how I really got here. So Pedro was the deputy of Reno. Most of you know that. And he went to Vegas to be the deputy. While he was the deputy in Vegas, I was an area superintendent over an area of about 25,000 kids. Pedro comes up here to be the superintendent. He calls me and say, hey, do you want to be my deputy? Okay, and you guys know I'm from Nevada. I am a running rebel. I am sorry. I have to just say that's the truth. And I said, absolutely not. I am not going to Reno. One, it's cold and I don't like the snow, right? And we had a talk, but what we talked about was kids, our love for kids and closing achievement gaps for a variety of kids. And so I said yes, and the rest has been in the paper, and you know the rest of the story, right? So a little bit about the district, who we are today. And I don't know if many of you know, our enrollment actually went up again this year, and we are almost at 64,000 kids and growing. And what you hear in the news all the time is about building schools, and we haven't built schools in about 8 years. The last school, DePoli, opened 8 years ago, but we are growing very fast. So there's lots of information about capital, and we are willing to come back to kind of talk deeper conversations about capital and the work that's been done with the Senate Bill 411 committee that works over schools overcrowding, and talk about what they're looking at that's not connected to the district. But today what I thought was important was to really talk about who we are, because people don't realize that 43% of the students we serve are on free and reduced lunch in Washoe County. That's creeping up to half of our student population. 17% of our kids are ELL status. When we look at our children in transition, which are children who don't have homes and poverty, we have approximately 2,800 kids who are living in cars or shelters. And sometimes, you know, we don't know that our population has changed from what we used to know. But recently, the Quality Counts report came out, and Nevada ranked, everybody, dead last, right? And then the phone started ringing. What's going on? So I'm going to start off with Nevada ranked last, and that's all because of the folks down south. I can say that because I'm up north now, right? But when you look at the work that we've done in Washoe County, I just want to put some information out. So when they looked at what would happen with those and how they ranked, our graduation rate this year was 75%, which has steadily went up over the past 4 years. So every year we have made significant gains. We have programs in place for our ELL students, for children in poverty, for our gifted and talented. And as you know, we're revamping our special ed kit. And part of that is because I can't tell you this little secret, so you need to come to the state of ed. We have a target goal of where we want to be at 2020. And if you had an opportunity to come to state of ed ever, usually they're about numbers and PowerPoints, but I try to make it about kids and kids' stories, because you need to know who we serve. But there's going to be a bigger target for our kids. And in order to get to that target, we have to address the needs of all kids, whether they're gifted and talented or whether they're special ed. And there's lots of work to be done, and we are doing that work. As a result of the legislative session this year, we went ahead and offered full day K a year earlier than required. And part of that has to do with gaps and academic gaps. Gaps happen before they get to the senior year. We always talk about, what are you doing to graduate seniors? And I always say, we actually start graduating kids in kindergarten, right? Like when they enter school. The work is ending in their 12th grade year from K through 12. So that is very important for us to close gaps and opportunities for kids, because what we've learned is kids come to the district with gaps, right? We know that kids come not speaking English, kids come not knowing their names, some kids come reading across the spectrum. And what are we doing to close those gaps? So very thankful for full day K this year. Part of our school graduation rate, as you know, has to do with historically, this is the first year, shout out to any past HUD graduates or Sparks graduates, that every comprehensive high school is over 73% in the district. And we had issues where we'd have some schools lingering in the 60s. And that's probably one of the highest when you look at what graduation rates are across the state. Among our own schools, our graduation rate is above the state's average. Advanced placement and participation in AP classes is above state average. And if you look at that, we are very competitive as a district with the national average. But we know we still need to do better. So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, we're great, but we're on this pathway trajectory to getting to where we want to be. What quality counts don't tell you is that when they decide how they rank states, the first thing they look at school finance, per pupil funding, no matter where you are. Then they look at academic achievement. And then they look at something called a student chance for success. Well, Nevada spends $3,000 less than the average of $11,000. If you look at academic achievement, we actually ranked ahead of 15 other states. And then the student chance for success is actually measured by your parents' education levels. So when they do this, it's not just who took a test and who passed. There's a little formula that they use. And they also look to see if your parents' first language is English or Spanish in the ranking. So in Nevada, what we know, about 1/3 of our students have parents with post-secondary degrees, and the lowest ranking in the nation when you look at what parents have as far as education. 1/4 of Nevada children have parents who don't speak English fluently. So 1 of 4 kids who walk through our schools have parents that don't speak English. And we are doing a lot to engage families in the learning of their kids. We have parent universities. We do parent home visits. We invite people out to say, hey, how can you help your kid become better? Because I believe that the parent is an integral part in us being successful. But when we talk about closing gaps, I just want to throw a few numbers out, because I don't want you to leave today thinking Nevada is at the bottom, but Washoe is not at the bottom. When we look at children in transition, graduation rates rose 7 percentage points. When you look at African American kids, our graduation rates rose 6 percentage points. When you look at our Latino and Hispanic graduation rates, they rose 6 percentage points. When we look at our Native American kids, those went up 4 percentage points, and the graduation rate for students living in poverty rose 5 percentage points. What I can tell you is that we look at this all the time. Like if you said, Tracy, well, what about this? What about the data? We have a data system that is unreal, and we ask about how kids are doing and what we're providing for each kid to be successful. It looks different for every kid. And I know people say, well, that's not what my data say. So I always say, okay, you show me your data, I'll show you my data. I have nothing to hide, because this is the work that I do all day long to figure out how do we get to close many gaps. A lot of questions have come about what's happening with capital and raising schools. So I just want to touch a little bit about the school funding needs. We came up with 5 guiding principles to look at this work. And the first thing we looked at was student safety. We came up with a blueprint of why do we need to build schools and what would impact year-round scheduling versus double session. So for those of you who are probably more familiar with year-round, double session is when you run 2 shifts of school in one building. So kids might start at 6 and get out at 12, and then the next shift comes at 1 and gets out at 5. We want to maximize student achievement, educational quality, and equity within the district. And of course, maintain and keep operational the district's existing buildings. So not just build schools, but how are we going to maintain schools? At the end of the day, building schools is bigger than Tracy Davis. Building schools is about decades to come. And we know that we are growing with Tesla, and what things can be done so that when we look back on this moment, Did we take care of our community? If you have an opportunity, the public schools and overcrowding meeting, they meet on Fridays at the county commission's office. They'll be meeting this week, and they also post their agenda. And we, the district, very much removed from that process. What they come up with, they will be determined, and that will be their ballot item. And just in a little bit of closing, a lot of questions have been asked about the rigor of standards, Common Core. Common Core is not Washoe County School District. Whether you like it or not, it is the law. I have to teach that. If that is an issue, like I've been a classroom teacher, I remember Nevada content standards. I remember all kind of things. As a principal, Common Core came. We have to follow what is necessary. And I know many people say, well, is it doing what it's supposed to do? What I can tell you is that our teachers teach kids every day, and what we see is a trajectory of up, whether you like the Common Core, whether you like standards, and we are dedicated to our 64,000 kids. But we need everybody in this. To me, and Adam and I, we were joking because he took a selfie, and I thought, man, the world's gonna go crazy when he posts this. And of course, tomorrow morning our phones are gonna be going off the hook. But to me, it's not about being a Democrat or being a Republican when I'm talking about my 64,000 babies that come to us with a need. It's about, are we educating them and giving them the skill set to make a decision, to be what they want to be based on something? They need to be able to read. They need to be able to do math. They need to have these complex thinking skills to be ready for the 21st century. And that's what my job is, to make sure that happens and to be held accountable for it. Now, I know, you all know that people told me not to come in the lion's den tonight, right? And we were joking about it at the table. And I said, you know what? I have met nothing but nice people, right? Of course, you have questions and things you might want to ask me, but that's part of my job as the leader and the figurehead of the district. I got to be able to answer some of the tough questions. We had a great discussion about a particular issue happening with a charter school, but we sat next to each other. I was like, ooh. And then we kind of figured we actually knew each other from something else. And we started laughing, but the work we do is for kids, all kids. How do we help every kid, whether they are a charter kid, but Nevada's kids be successful? My job, of course, Washoe County School District kids, but we can do this work together. So as we move forward, I know you have tons of questions, and I think I met my timeline to give you enough time to ask questions and not throw tomatoes. Just saying, just saying. So where are we going to start at? Let me take off my glasses because I can't read tiny print, but I can see. Uh-oh. Ray, remember we have a deal.
I know, I have to be nice. All right, if you want to ask questions, you have to come up here so Bill can get it, because we are getting questions online. Remember, we are live. We just got one. Bill will say those, but one at a time. Come up here. Bill has to be able to record you. Hold the mic. One at a time. State your name and your question.
My name is Juanita Cox,